Good evening and welcome to the October 1st Conservation Commission hearing. At this point in time, I'd like to ask anybody that has electronic devices to please silence them or turn them off so that we don't have that interruptions. We do not have a records keeper here this evening, so what I'd like everybody to be aware of is if you want to have something to say, please do so, but you're going to have to come up to the podium, tell us who you are for the record, and then give us your information. All right, we can start tonight's agenda on voting September 24th minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and found them substantially correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And any other discussion on the board? Seeing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next on the agenda is a discussion for signage in the Bravogle Conservation Area by Alex Brandt. And I'd take a motion to table this because I do not see Ms. Brandt.
I'll make a motion to table the sign,
Second.
request for signage at Bravo Conservation Area.
So that was Russell's motion, Mary's second. Any other discussion from the board? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Moving forward, request for continuance under hearings under a notice of intent. Right. First up is the Town of Falmouth Beach Committee, 295 Quaker Road, North Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant of the town would like continuance until next week. They don't have a DEP number yet.
That would be October 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Mary's motion, Russ's second. And this is a continuance on the Town of Falmouth Beach Committee, 295 Quaker Road. If there is any other discussion from the board? Is there any discussion in the audience about the project and the continuance? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next request for a continuance is the Town of Falmouth Engineering Department, Oyster Pond Road. And Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is still looking through the National Heritage process, and they would like a continuance until November 5th.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Mary's motion, Russell's second. And that's for a continuance for the Town of Falmouth at the Oyster Pond project, Oyster Pond Road project. Any further discussion from the board? Is there any discussion from the audience on this project and the continuance? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is a request for determination of applicability. Big mouthful, and what it means is you want to have a negative determination for your project to proceed. Negative is what you want to hear. A positive means that you end up having to do more of a permit than what has been reviewed by the administrator and staff. The first is the Steamship Authority, 1 Railroad Ave, Woods Hole, Mass, for permission to replace 2 dolphin piles in slip 2 and to repair or replace timber facing and fenders. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project and we are recommending a negative tune for the state of the bylaw of the resource area boundaries now confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Chairman, Mr. Peters here, if you have any questions.
At this point in time, we're going off, and I'll repeat this for the audience as well, in an RDA, the board does not go out and review the project. We go on staff's recommendation and a little written up that we received before the hearing. So going on what the administrator had said in our view here, we have a motion and a second on the table for a negative determination. Am I correct?
You do?
Correct.
You do.
Is there any further discussion on the board? Is there any discussion from the audience? Anyone who would like to comment on this project? you are more than welcome to do so.
You're well ahead right now.
Seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is 7 Avenue A, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to demolish the existing house and construct a 6-bedroom, single-family house with covered porches and stairs, a raised patio, detached garage to install a new Title V sewage disposal system, landscape wall, utilities, driveway, and the associated clearing, excavating, and grading and landscaping.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 in the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
That'd be Mary's motion, Russ's second. Is there any other discussion on the board? Open it up to the audience. Is there any comment on this project that's in front of the board?
No, Bill?
Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is 57 Sipwisset Road for permission to vista prune according to the Falmouth wetland regulations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting, they're withdrawing their RDA application.
Outstanding.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Gray.
I would,
Move to untable the discussion of the Brive Oval property with Alex Brandt.
Second that.
Mayor's motion, Russell's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Brandt. I work for you. 2 days a week I work down in conservation. The other 2 days I'm with Marine and Environmental Services doing some upland management. I do a lot of certificate of compliances with MARC at the moment for Concom. And Mondays I work with Bob Shea doing GIS, so that's a little bit about what I'm currently doing. Thus far, I've spent a lot of time looking at old land management plans, trying to figure out what we had in place, what's worked, what hasn't. A reoccurring theme has been Brive Vogel and ATV use. I'm sure, I don't know if you're all familiar with the parcel, but it's 67 acres off of, I believe it's Thomas Landers, next to the leaf dump. And it's perfectly situated along the power lines. So very conveniently, it's a playground for dirt bikes and ATVs and other off-road vehicles. That being said, I would like to begin the process to prevent that. I'm going to start, I hope, with your guys' approval, with signage. Simple, easy, just get it out there. We don't want you here. We have to start somewhere. We have, in 3 weeks, we have a meeting on site with Mass Audubon to determine whether or not we can do eastern spadefoot toad habitat restoration there. The property was bought with land bank money with the intention of wetland habitat restoration. They want people to use it, but not with vehicles. That's a part of the CR. It states in there, no vehicles on the property. So that's what I'm here to ask you. If I can start the process and the steps to kind of mitigating off-road vehicles on the property.
How many signs do you think you can put out there?
Well, it depends. I've walked the area and there are a lot of access points because there's neighborhoods nearby and there's trails through the woods, trails on the power lines. What I really would like to do is try to get a hold of the power line company as well and see if they can put up gates because they've clear cutted and made it so much easier for them to just zip right in. As of right now, I would say probably maybe 15 signs. I don't want to litter it. I don't want it to be that's all you see, but I think they're going to be necessary in a lot of the access points. And I would like to offer to go to the site with any of you if you'd like to go with me. I'm making myself available. I don't know if you guys have been out there recently at all. It's pretty ideal for dirt bikes, and we can't have it be that way if we want to use it for, habitat restoration.
There have been a lot of complaints, both to the EMS department and our office regarding the dirt bike use on Brown Road. It is a problem on that. This was Alex's opportunity to come, have you put a face to the name of your new employee, and introduce herself to you, since she will be working on land management issues. She will need permission from this board to do various projects, some small, some large. We'll cross those bridges when we get to them. But this is just, again, a way for introducing herself to you and just asking the permission to put the signs up. I'll work with Alex and probably Chuck on the language we'll use for the signs. If you want to approve them, Mr. Chairman, I can bring a prototype to you and you can approve that.
Sure, I can do that.
Okay?
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is what we do on Wednesday nights.
Sorry
Now we
for
know
being
what-
late. You start so promptly. Who knew?
Well, that's why I carry this. Welcome aboard. I think this is a challenge that I'm going to let others speak to it, but I want to get ahead of this because it's a challenge. I think if we could educate that, and not just signage, but I'd like to see somehow we can educate, because a lot of the activity is, I think there's no malice in it. I think it's an activity that some just do and just assume it's something that has no effect other than throwing dirt. If we can, particularly, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to educate and explain the activities that are more appropriate for in there. One of the things I do want to say is that if we have to do something with motorized vehicles, it's also going to have to be a no-no for BMX. You know, it's going to be, because I've seen pretty aggressive trail riding with that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the same areas, but there are certain areas that should also be addressed. It's a broad, it's a big area, and it's tough to deny access totally, and I don't think we ever can. But I think with signage and showing appropriate areas and hopefully televising like this and letting people know this area was purchased for a specific goal. And unfortunately, the activities that are happening there unauthorized are counterproductive to that. And that we don't dislike motorcyclists or anybody else that's having their fun out there. But there's got to be other places that it's more appropriate, and that's just part of the world that we live in. So I do not have the answers for all that.
It's going to be, it will be tough to control, but at least this will be a
Starting point, absolutely.
We haven't even gotten to a starting point yet. So this will be a starting point, and just to let the board know, you had a presentation by Jessica Rittenauer a few weeks ago on wanting to pursue a grant on your behalf to purchase materials to start the parking plan that you approved that Scott Schubler from the engineering department developed last year. You received that grant, so they'll be starting that work as well to give people a designated parking area. And hopefully Mass Audubon will find it a suitable site for Spadefoot Toad Restoration Site. That would be really exciting.
And you bring in N-Star into the loop?
I haven't figured out
No,
how
I'm
to
just
tackle
saying
that
that
one,
I'm putting this out there there's people that watch this that contact N-Star. I think this would be a way for them to help their image a little bit with all the full plate that they have, that they're not the cloak and dagger in this either, that they actually can respond to our needs as well. And hopefully they hear this and take it in a positive way to help us control activities that are not in their best interest either. So I wish you luck with that, and I can open it up to the board if anybody else has some comments.
Just one correction, it's Blacksmith Shop Road,
That's, yes.
not Thomas Pilius. Other than that, I have no questions.
No, thank you.
No questions. Very glad to have you aboard, and it's a good start for a plan.
Yeah, welcome. We appreciate your work, and I'd be interested to see the signs when you have some plans for those. I'm familiar with the site, and I know what it's like out there. It's a lot of dirt, so very attractive for dirt bikes to go tooling around. And I think maybe as people go out and use it more, that might be a deterrent in itself, that people are using it in a different way. They'll be keeping an eye on it, be seeing. So that might also be something to keep in mind with the signs, is education, not just for people who are using it in a negative way, but also just everybody who's out there to use it. And maybe then people who are coming out won't perceive that it's directed towards them, but just that this is an area that's protected, that we're trying to protect and improve.
Right.
So, again, thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you.
Now,
Likewise.
you want to vote on this signage. So I would entertain a motion.
I make a move that we approve the use of signage on the conservation area.
Second?
Okay, that was Michael's motion and John's second. This is a familiar face with us now, and may it be with the public as well, and that, if you need us, we can shout out, and if we need you, likewise.
Only 2 days, though.
Only 2 days, but that's all right.
No, because I'm managing the land on the other 2 days. I'm not under your department, but you can still access it.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from the audience on this project going in front of us? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Now I get to do my little reading. Next is the request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First is Church Street Trust, 158 Church Street, Woods Hole, Mass., for permission to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a single-family 8-bedroom house with porches, entries, to install a Title V sewage disposal system, utilities, walkways, driveway, AC units, dry wells, paved driveway, fieldstone walls, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. I didn't mess that up. Came close. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening. My name is Michael McGrath. I'm a registered engineer and registered professional land surveyor. I work for Holmes & McGrath. We filed the plan. This site is on Church Street, and I gave you an aerial photograph to show you that this is Knobscot Point. And then there's a single-family house where the next single-family house towards Woods Hole Road. This is Knobscot Beach, and there's a pond adjacent to it, Knobscot Pond. Until July of 2014, there were no wetland resources close enough to file for permit. So the new floodplain maps have redefined the velocity zone, and it's shown in the location that's here. The other wetland resource is the edge of Knobscot Road. There is, however, a paved driveway that serves this house that lies between that pond and this coastal bank. There's an existing house that I show dashed that's colored yellow with a brown. They propose to build a new house that's basically a little further from the top of the coastal bank than what exists today. The septic system is way down in a lower field that's way beyond your jurisdiction. Your jurisdiction is this orange line that runs through here. You have regulations that talk about redevelopment of sites like this. Because we're moving this house away from the resource area, there's actually less impervious area within your resource areas. And we've given you that narrative. There's a 2-page narrative. The proposed alteration in the resource area buffer A is negative 429 square feet. And then there's 150 less square feet of impervious area inside the Zone B. So we are reducing the total impervious area by 579 square feet. So we don't need to propose any mitigation plans. To explain some of the other things, this is the boundary of the rare endangered species. Since the house is not in it, we don't have to apply. Are there any specific questions I have concerning, I'm sorry, are there any specific questions I can answer concerning this? I always have questions.
Jen?
No, not right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Look to the board. John?
No questions right now.
Mary?
Just to confirm, the only thing happening in the A zone is a removal of the portion of that wing of the house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mike?
Very well staked in the field, Mike. Pretty clear what you're doing. No further questions.
Thank you.
Russ?
I don't have a problem with this project, no questions.
I'll show you what this is very bittersweet for me. I wish I was recusing myself from this, because I'd love to work on this project. It's a heck of a site. I wrote down wow as I was walking in. I think you got, I will mirror Mike's comments. It was nicely staked. It was easy to get that without any effort.
We're in a good mood, Mike. Take it.
I was about to say, even a blind squirrel sometimes finds it.
At this point, Jen, do you have any comments or concerns?
The only question I actually had regarding the coastal bank, Mr. McGrath and I discussed this afternoon.
Okay. If the board has enough information, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Okay, that's Russell's motion and Mike's second. We'll close and take it under advisement at this point. Before we take the vote, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this project? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Next is 58 Davis Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove the existing shed and construct a one-bedroom addition with stairs, attached garage, deck expansion to extend the driveway, install a trench drain, dry wells, native tree and shrub mitigation plantings, remove a tree, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Do you have any questions on this, Jen? Or any comments at this time?
I'll save the comment. We'll give you have some questions and comments until after this.
Thank you. Tom? Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with BSS Design. I would prepare this plan for the sill phones on Davis Road. The house was built in 2005. It's a redevelopment of the lot where there'd been a house back from the 40s and 50s on there or earlier. That's why they have lawn that goes way down into the back of the property. So it was built in 2005 with a 5-bedroom septic system. They built a 4-bedroom house at the time it was initially permitted. It was outside of the 100 feet from the wetland, and there was intended to be an attached garage on the right-hand side of the house, and there would have been a 5th bedroom there. That's why there's a larger septic system on the lot. Rather than doing that, the Silphones want to add the garage in the back of the house, with a driveway going down the left-hand side of the house, and there'll be an attached garage. There will be 1 bedroom in it and some other living space. I think it's a 2-car garage underneath, and a floor level that's roughly level with comparable to the house, and then another loft kind of space above that. Most of this addition is in the B zone of this wetland. There's an isolated wetland on a different lot behind here. It was flagged by Jack Vaccaro. And there is an A zone that comes, we have it 50 feet up, 50 foot up onto the lot, and a B zone which goes right near the back of the existing house and deck. So we have this addition of the garage, 801 square feet of the garage and deck are within the B zone. There's an existing shed that's just behind the rear stairs in this location, which will be removed. That's 52 square feet, so there'll be a total increase within the B zone of 749 square feet. And at a 2-to-1 mitigation ratio, we have basically 1,500 square feet, which will all go in the back, or colored in the heavier green. It almost fills up the A zone to that wetland. That's a lot of lawn to fill in there. There is a maple tree, a Norway maple tree toward the back of the garage, which will be removed about 20-inch diameter. So as compensation for removing an invasive species, we're adding 2 native trees toward the edge of the mitigation planting in there. Not specified exactly, but either a red maple or red or white oak, one of the native hardwoods. The shrubs will be the typical blueberry, arrowwood, or witherod viburnum, some of the freshwater wetland species there. The driveway will go down to the garage, and there'll have to be a trench drain in front of the garage door. And there is a system of pipes and dry wells, which will take the water from the trench drain and the roof runoff and infiltrate it into the ground to prevent any runoff down the slope toward the wetland. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
Yeah, Tom, it's important that I see those data sheets from Jack, and I need to actually speak with him as well. Mark thinks this may be a burn hole, and if it is, it definitely would impact the project. Do you know what time of year Jack's flag is?
It was, well, it was about a month and a half ago.
Month and a half ago, okay.
It was wet at the time.
Jack, it was, and he didn't notice anything. Well, a month and a half ago would be July.
When I first called, the cell phone said it was all dry out there, and then when Mark went, it was after one of the rains, and it was wet when he flagged it. He didn't note that it could be a vernal pool.
Yeah, it's just a little suspect, so if you, I would recommend to the board that we get the data sheets from Jack, and then if he could write something about what his observations were, and if I could talk to him, it's a completely wrong time of year to go and look for indicators of vernal pool species, so then he did it a month and a half ago. It's still leaking on his end too, so and there's some other resources we could check, but those would be that's my only concern. I like the removal of the Norway maple. Put more maple in, but other than that, that's the only thing. So
talk to
That
him
would be
tomorrow.
great.
That's it? Okay. John?
Just to be clear, are these the trees that you're planning to put in, is that the location? Are they on here, or are they just going into the area where you're
That was
proposing?
the general location. I put them up toward the
The
edge
edge
of
of-
the planting. Those are the
okay.
proposed trees.
Okay. No questions.
Mary?
No questions.
Mike?
No questions?
Russ?
No questions.
Just so I can be clear, Jen, the information you want, if this was a vernal pool, it would impact the project,
Yeah.
and so I do not have a comfort level of closing this if there's that card that's out there. Do you understand what I'm saying? If it
Yeah, it
was,
sounds like a,
Could we,
Right.
Tony, you think
100-foot
I could
buffer.
get a hold of Jack by next Wednesday when we continue it 1 week? I don't know if that'll solve anything, I just,
yeah, I mean, I talked to
I
him.
would like to talk to him a little bit
Yeah.
about what his observations and were at the time that he flagged it.
I'm sure I could get him to, yeah, probably later this week. Well, there's not much left to this week, but yeah, I'm sure this week I could have him call you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be in the office on Friday, so.
if we continue this, the only impact it would have, other than closing it, is if it's not a vernal pool, we're just gonna be closing it.
Correct.
If it's a vernal pool, you'd probably,
All bets are off.
yeah, then that would change. You'd have to relay that to your client and explain the differences in that. All right, so we're all clear on that, and we're gonna continue this. What somebody could make a motion about is to continue this for 1 week. Is that-
I'll make a motion on behalf of the applicant's representative to continue the hearing until October 8th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. And before I take the vote, is there any comments about this project in the audience?
My name's Marcy Massey.
I need you to come up, please. Thank you.
I'm just here for a neighbor, the lady that lives on this side, she's on her way down from Boston. She lives over on this side, and I think her concerns...
If you could go use the mic, it would be helpful, because they're going to need this to do the record keeping. And if you could just say your name one more time, please?
Barry Brunette,
Thank you.
and I'm here for Sandra Feynman Silva. I don't think her concerns are going to be dealt with by the Conservation Commission, but she asked me to be, she was concerned about the length of the fence and the drainage, because it is also close to her property. It's right on the lot line, the driveway. So I don't know if those are things that the Conservation Commission is interested in.
Well, if I may, addressing the drainage, yes, we are, they have to contain that.
It sounds
can't-
like it, yeah.
It can't spill over onto your yard or into the resource area behind it. He's designed a trench drain to, he's calculated what that flowage is going to be, and he's...
Is that an asphalt driveway or gravel driveway?
It's a
Gravel.
gravel, yeah.
Yeah, because that would absorb the runoff.
Yeah, I think, well,
Down
the
the
steeper
driveway.
part.
Yes.
There's no way to turn around.
Right, it's a partial. There's two parts to it.
Coming in from the road would be gravel, and then it's a steeper down to the garage, that would be paved to the trench drain.
Is the garage actually under? This is the level of the first floor?
Yeah, it goes under.
So the garage is under.
Yes.
It doesn't look like there's much of a turnaround there to get a car into that. So I can't imagine why they're even doing it. But I don't see how you can back a car up and get out of that driveway.
Those are the wonders of design. People design things that they like.
But I don't think it works. That's the,
And I could,
nobody deals with that.
apparently it works for
Not the
them.
first time.
And that's all that matters at this point. Design is in the,
Well, the neighbor has a concern over whether trucks are going to be going in there, stealing things from their restaurant, and, why build a garage that isn't accessible?
that I couldn't answer. I don't know. A garage is what's being proposed, and they're addressing the concerns that the board has. If there's more concerns, maybe the engineer could
Well, it would have been nice for them to meet with the neighbor and tell them what they were going to be doing. But,
And that's unfortunate if that wasn't
It is
done, but right now, I hope you have some kind of information that you can relay back to your friend.
I think she'll be happy to hear that there's a drain there for the runoff.
As are we.
Yeah. Okay, well, I didn't know that it was there, neither did she, so. All right, any other questions she has, hopefully that's the phone will answer it personally.
I have great confidence that that would be done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike?
Tom, local knowledge, do you have any idea where you think the water table is?
The water table?
The
Yeah.
water.
You showed the pool at about 6.
6, it could be getting, I'm
Okay.
not sure, but it could be getting close to that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm
If I could have you go up, please.
the water table.
I
I
just need to,
represent my name's Joanne Plant.
Thank you.
I represent my father at 61 Minor Street, which abuts the back.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say that there's an underground river that feeds that water. And so, and there are animals and stuff that live in it. I'm not opposed to this at all, but I'm interested in knowing whether that's going to be affected or not.
And this, I'm glad that you're here, and by next week at this time, because there was a continuance, we're gonna have a definitive description of that area. And that,
Okay.
at that point, that'll give everybody parameters of what they're able to do
I
around.
just wanted to see if
It kind of
there's
ends.
whether it's aware of the fact that there was a river under there.
And that's-
I'm not sure how deep it is or how big it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comment from the audience? Seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. See you next week.
So just have Jack give me a call on Friday, if he can.
Next on the agenda is 67 Gardner Road, Woods Hole, Mass. for permission to raise the existing house and detached garage and construct a new single-family house elevated to 16-foot, installing a landing with stairs, second-floor balcony, low-profile leaching chambers, native plantings, modular block retaining wall, reconnect utilities, replace dirt driveway with crushed stone, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Good evening, Tom.
Long time no see.
Really great.
At this point, I'll just...
Yes.
These are the ones you thought you dropped off, I think you did. I dropped off Dave's sheets for these files. I think one of the girls in the office, you thought you dropped them off for Dave.
Oh,
But I
no,
didn't
probably
find-
first.
Yeah, okay. Guys, you should be looking at a revised plan, Dave, September 24.
Thank you.
Yes?
Mine's September 10th.
Oh, September 16th.
I have
Where is she? No?
July
That's
22,
Davis Road.
September 16th. September 16th.
I got September 16th.
Yeah, and a July.
Thank you, Tom.
September 16th, the show revision date, September 24th, in the column with the title block.
Oh, yes. Yes, you're right.
Revised date?
Yeah.
September 24th.
Yeah. So it was the,
It should be
Trees.
down in your pocket then.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
September
don't.
24th.
No, that's the other one. There's
Might
two of
be
those,
downstairs in your packet.
We'll share. Thank you. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with BSS Design. Prepared this plan for Ian Bowles, who is here today, in case there are any questions for him. This house This lot is already developed with a house, surrounded by, pretty much surrounded by wetlands, again marked by Jack Vaquero, and we do have the data sheets in there. House was built around 1940, probably somewhat on fill in this low area here. As you can see on this plan, the greenish color there is the wetlands. There's a series of wetland, and there's 3 ditches all around the sides of it, and the fourth side provides narrow access to Gardner Road there through the driveway. The elevation of the land is ranges from 1.5 to 3. That's on the new North American vertical datum. And the flood zone, there are 2 flood zones. The front of the lot is in flood zone AE elevation 13, and the rear part of the lot where the house is and the new house will be is in AE elevation 15. So we have basically a 12-foot height to go from the ground, 12 to 13 feet to go from the ground up to the flood zone. The house is connected to the sewer system. There's no septic on the property. There's an existing garage on there and a driveway, a gravelly dirt stone driveway running from front to back along the east side of the lot. The proposal proposed site plan is fairly similar to the existing. So the driveway is running along the same side. We do have a proposal here, though, because of drainage considerations and all, at the driveway along the one side by the wetland, shown on the plan in narrative, a low on these stacking block walls so we can raise the grade up there about a 1.5 feet. The wall itself will be about 2 feet high to allow a little bit of a curb, but it'll hold the driveway up a little higher to access to under the house. I'll show you have a drawing of the house. I know it's a little, there are some questions. This corner, looking right at this corner here. The front bit of the house right here is basically just an open portico, as you can see, open below. There'll be a wood deck below it, and steps going up to a landing up on the first floor, living space. In the back of it, this is more from looking, this is the side that faces the road, and then going in on one side would be a garage door going in this side. So we have a length of that low wall to raise the grade of the driveway a little bit to get up onto this parking slab, which is under the house. The lower part of the house will be used for parking, storage, building access, the things that are allowed in the flood zone. So we have that low retaining wall along the east side. The garage will be removed from this plan, and that area grassed. The house itself is, as you can see from that on the plan, it's more rectangular, so it's oriented differently than the existing house. The near point of the existing house is 9 feet to the existing house from the wetland, and the near point to the proposed house, basically up in the same corner, is 9 feet. Otherwise, we're, it's just squeezed in on the driveway side and squeezed in on the other side, the west side. There is, with the removal of the garage, there'll be a reduction of coverage on the entire lot of 254 square feet. Since there's no increase in coverage, there's no mitigation planting required. But up in one area here, there's part of the wetland that was flagged crossing the lawn. So we're proposing to plant that area of the wetland, or that area of the lawn, which is wetland, with some of the native shrubs that will do well in that, that type of environment. One note about the vegetation there is there's invasive plants 360 around it pretty much. Not too bad, but Phragmites and some bittersweet, honeysuckle, and also the Japanese knotweed. So I'm proposing across the back of the yard, down through here, along the existing fence, to put in a root barrier in hopes of stopping that knotweed. So at least on this property, it can be cut, pulled, treat the cut stem or whatever to kill off the knotweed here and keep it from spreading onto the lot. So there'll be some effort at reducing or eliminating some of these invasive plants from this property. And there is Mark Kasperzik picked up, and there is a stump out there of a tree. It's up in this area here. He thought from the picture it was a cedar. I thought from some of the wood that was there it looked more like a cherry. But anyway, we have 2 proposed cedar trees being planted along to the south of the lot. They like sun, and that's on the south side of the house, so they ought to do well there. So, you know, in closing, we're reducing the coverage on the lot, and even in spite of that, also planting 300 square feet of the wetland with native shrubs and 2 cedar trees. I think this is a good project for somewhat difficult site. I'll take questions.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
Buffer zones on here? And I just don't see them.
No, it's all A.
Oh, okay. Talk to me about the cut, excuse me, the invasive species. You said cut. Some of them.
Well, I'm just saying possibly, I mean, if you want to get into anything like that, then we're going to have to come to you. I'm just saying
Okay, that's
want to
because
put
I
in,
didn't see a plan.
yeah, it's not a management plan like that. I'm saying that, I mean, the real thing is putting in root barrier there, and just mowing that lawn could keep it from, could keep knocking that knotweed back. But,
So I gotta try to reclaim part of that wetland, it's just gonna get taken over for invasive.
not reclaiming, there's just knotweed sprouts coming up in the
Yeah.
lawn.
Okay.
I was saying, just to sort of draw a line in the sand, so to speak.
Are you sure cedar trees are the most appropriate species for working? Yes, they like sun, but I'm not quite sure how they would like living in a wetland.
Well, it was just because when I was talking to Mark, he seemed to like the idea that cedar trees would go there. I'm not sure they're most appropriate. Yeah, red maple might be.
I'll talk about it about that. We'll choose another tree.
That's fine.
And the other thing is, Tom and Russ, I talked to you about how you guys view the driveway. If you view the existing driveway as being a pervious surface that doesn't support natural vegetation, then
Yeah.
it's good. Thank you, Tom.
Right. Come to the board. John?
I'm just looking at the retaining wall you're putting in there next to the driveway, and that's to protect the ditch that's next to it, is that correct?
That's basically to
Just to,
contain any possible runoff from the driveway from going directly into the ditch.
okay.
It'll hold it there and allow.
So
it to-
kind of a dual purpose, keeping things on the driveway and keeping runoff from going in the ditch, okay. I think that's my only question.
Thank you, John. Jen, I notice you,
Yes, sorry, Mr. Chairman. Tom, one of the conditions I'll recommend to the board is that it'll be meet with the contractor prior to, because they're gonna have to do water on this site. And how are they gonna contain all that?
Yeah, I was waiting, there's not a foundation design yet, so I don't know how much excavation. I mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna be helical piles, probably, going down some, and that'll give all the bearing strength, but there will be some grade beam or something else, I just don't know how deep or how much will be
Yes, we'll need to see
required.
that, we'll need
Yeah.
to see that design as a condition, and then we'll probably have to meet with the chosen contractor, because
Yeah.
this, it could come out very, yeah, it has the potential to be an ugly site. Well, it is an ugly site, but, you know what I mean? To work.
Construction-wise.
Construction-wise, yes. So, I just want to make sure that when the time comes that we're able to talk to the contractor and he submits a very detailed, solid dewatering plan
Yes.
if necessary.
Okay? You all set, Jen?
Yeah.
Mary?
You mentioned raising the elevation of the driveway. Is that to the level of the slab? Is that what you're talking about?
Not to the level of the slab. I think the slab is about 3.5.
You're starting about...
3, elevation 3.
Okay,
Some in
so
the back, I mean, there's a spot grade, actually at the back of the house is already 3.15 and 2.8 on the backside, but over by the driveway, there's 2.7, 1.8, it's kind of up and down, so it has to raise, about 1.5 foot or so to get up to 3, and within that little wall in there will be up to, the top of the wall will be about 3.5, but then it'll raise up another 6 inches, the driver will go up another 6 inches up into the slab.
Okay. You're doing that with, are you bringing in fill or just a base course and the usual?
There would be just the entire site. We're going to try to grade up to about 6 inches below the slab level for the loam and, sod. So again, the front, there's a spot grade at 2.67, so it'll be about 3 inches of loam rod in there. For the driveway, we could talk about exactly what that would be, but it would, it's pretty solid there now. I think there's been years of stone packed into it, so I don't know that we really need much more. We can just put some of the crushed stone surface up on top of it.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
Mike?
The two leaching pits, or whatever you call those chambers, pretty close to the water table. I'm concerned you're redirecting water into areas where they haven't previously been. The thing has been happy for a long time, and now you're... And I guess I'm as concerned about where this is going to go than anything else. Is there enough conservatism built into those pits to take the new runoff from the roof?
You're saying if there's going to be enough of them to take
well,
it?
enough volume, enough, that's a pretty small area, and you look at the roof, and is it going to take that? You don't have to worry about the worst case event because it's all going to be underwater, so I'm not worried about that. It's that heavy July, August, and it's going to be coming into that drainage swale in the back, and I don't want to see it worse in the near term as it was, this year. That's my only concern. You redirect, you will go through all the downspouts in the front of the yard being jumped into that area, and somebody did that for a reason, and it all came happy, and now we're changing it around. And I'm just saying, some contingents to find some way of, if this thing isn't working well, of fixing it. Because I appreciate the limited storm event you really have to worry about.
Yeah, well, I had thought that any kind of leaching structure, might be getting too close to the groundwater anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe it should just be, if there was a sort of a more conventional house with, you do a stone drip edge around it and just let the water go into that.
Right.
But here is, we do only have it going onto one side because, the roof is pitched just to
To
one
that
side.
side, yeah.
You know, like,
I thought that was that one.
and could do a stone edge just along that one side or
I'm-
something.
You heard the concerns, and I guess my point is that it seems like a reasonable approach, but I'm not sure how Mother Nature is going to accept it. And, some provisions when you, ideas on how to fix it if it isn't working well is, I guess, where I'd be.
Any type of system could be overtopped. It could-
I suspect
and this-
someday I know it will be.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about that. It's the year-to-year, day-to-day event throughout the year that might be an issue.
I could check it and see about what the calculations might show, and if we, more
So if you
double
think
them
there's
up and
something,
put
then
in
please do. I mean,
more
that's the
chambers
only,
would hold more of it.
it's a challenging little site. It can be a beautiful place. I'm all for it, but, there's the potential of adding runoff to the wetland resource areas is there. So, that's all I'm asking.
Good?
I'm good.
Russ?
Help me understand the reason for keeping the garage. Does the driveway have to be that long? Because it pretty much goes back to where...
It wouldn't have to be quite that long. I mean, it was there. So
car's length or something, maybe cut it down to one car's length.
I mean, we could, if we could kind of had it so we could put a car toward the end of it and then have room to back out of the garage with another, come back out that direction and go without having to park on grass.
That's all I had. No problem with the project.
When the comment was made earlier, ugly site type of thing, this is where site management and the comfort level comes in. It's necessary for the board. Anytime you're you're using newer technologies, the Healy coils, grade beams, to accomplish what you have to. And you always want to make sure that your contractor understands what our goals are, that his activities don't go beyond the limit of work, that he doesn't, well, it's only going to be there for the morning and then I'll move it out afterwards, and all of a sudden you have a storm that comes through and ta-da, you get an event that is crappy, for lack of a technical term. And site management, my colleagues have their expertise in things, and I never thought I'd say it, but I'm really an expert on happy crap on a site. It's just something that I'm drawn into. The gas line is, if you want, could you put that up, so maybe post it up there? Interesting design. That will have to stay with us as well for the record. Interesting design. Anytime that you take, and you have a challenging site like this, and logistically, building this is going to be, your contractor's going to have to be he's going to have to be on his A game, just because it has the potential of, oh crap. And this deserves to be much more than that. Really, I'm not into contemporary homes, however, this is interesting that you have the portico underneath, and it addresses, I'm always fascinated with the flow of things. Form follows function. And to be able to go out from the garage and, be undercover and then come out, and just the balconies and such, I think there was true effort put into this to accomplish both vistas and compaction. Kudos to that. The utilities. The gas line, is it on site now and they're just going to break it at some point in the yard and then reconnect it? You're not going to run a whole new service?
It's there now.
Yeah, so you're not going to run a whole new service.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest running it through the wetland there, but it's
Well,
there now.
It's there now, right. I think myself, I have enough information. If the board,
I have one more question. Is that a flat roof or is it just a?
It's slightly, it's pitched, I can't remember the exact pitch of it, like
12 at one time.
12, 1 to 12.
That's,
Wonderful.
the water is not gonna stay up there, it's gonna just migrate. Snow, however, depending on the material the contractor uses, that'll be different. But you're in a good spot there when you open the door bell. Anyhow, I would entertain a motion. I went way off track there, guys. I'm
I'll
sorry.
make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
We have a motion from Russ and a second from Mary. And we have people in the audience and the administrator that want to.
No, you're the A zone, right?
A.
You're the A1 zone, sorry.
8, 13, 15.
Okay, sir.
Hi, I'm Sam Farrell, 61 Gardner Road, which is to the south of, right here. In general, like Mr. Bowles, it's an interesting project. But as you can see, he's planning to move the house 6 feet back in one place and actually 12 feet back in another. Now, there are mitigating circumstances and the garage is going and so on. And I may be asking for help that he doesn't really want. But it would, let me put this back up here. So this back peak here is going to be at 35 feet. And currently the house is probably about, with a peaked roof going down, is about 24 feet. Or maybe a bit less than that. And so it's a massive imposition, admittedly, on the north side of the house and not the south, and will create quite an edifice at the back of our house. That being said, you know, I'm not here to try and make trouble for anybody, you or Mr. Bowles, but I was looking at the plans and I'm informed that one of the areas of concern for the board is this 9 feet setback here. And so in order to accomplish that, and they've twisted and turned it and tried to use the garage and so on, and the driveway as best they can with this new orientation of the house, it means coming back 6 feet towards me, but also 12 to 16 feet further up. I'm not exactly sure, I don't know, because I haven't seen exact comparisons. So it's quite a large thing, and I would say if there's a willingness to gain a bit more distance from the wetland in the back here by moving the house further up in exchange for being a bit closer here, and in fact, I mean, I don't know whether this is house, but this is meant to be the balcony over here, and it's cantilevered, and so the 9 feet is measured from the cantilever and not from the corner of the house itself. And I don't even know if Mr. Bowles will entertain doing that, but I would like to ask if that's at least possible for the board to consider. And actually, one of the things that I hadn't known before was this fairly large eave, which will contribute even further back, so it's not just 6 feet, it looks like a 2-foot eave, or at least a significant amount of eaves coming back. And so it would be good if you could consider allowing them a little bit of leeway in that southwest corner, sorry.
Okay.
Northwest.
Northwest.
Yeah.
I'll turn around. Northwest corner. Which, you know, even if he could move it 3 feet, it would feel a lot to us. Now, I know I don't want to cause anybody any extra cost and so on and so forth. On the other hand, I'm sure that attention to neighbors is something that they want to do. Want to be considerate of us. I know that Mr. Bowles is very considerate. So I would like to ask if that's possible to consider.
Okay, if I can direct something to the engineer, so you can get an answer on at least one of your questions. Can you explain to this gentleman about why the house is at the elevation that it is?
Oh, well, I mean, it's to get above the flood zone. I think you probably
No, I
realize
understand that, yeah.
Okay, and that is just, that's cast in stone. So the height on that and that portion of it is going to be,
Can I ask a
there's
quick
nothing.
question then?
Please.
So this is an AE 15, and yet the house is 16 feet. Is there a reason why? Are those two numbers related?
They have a requirement to go over.
Yes, it's above the floodplain. It has to be 1 foot above.
I understand that your concern is not how high the building is,
Right.
but if you lived there, it would be.
And I have no doubt, and I appreciate you coming in and expressing this. And there is one thing that, to make sure of, is that this is the footprint, including the cantilevers. And as you made mention, it is that northwest corner that has a cantilever on the second floor balcony. And I think you've caused a discussion amongst the applicant.
Well,
So this is,
Jen, as I'm always happy to apply,
Yeah.
get a discussion going. Sorry.
there,
I mean, I think the other point I was going to make in terms of being able to move it forward would also enable the driveway to be that much shorter as well at the back. So not only if there was flexibility there, you'd have a little bit more flexibility there because that's related to where the garage is. So
correct. Thank you. Well,
So we would be willing to, but you're looking at the footprint location on the ground. You know, we had thought of that, where that balcony is up 15 feet up, and so if, you know, if it seemed conceivable that we could, you know, get closer to the wetland, we'd be willing to try, but I think that, you know, we would like to, if possible, close it. I mean, we could, if it seemed like it might be feasible, we could request an amendment. If we can get this closed and approved, we can work with them and you to see if we could request an amendment to move within that.
the foot, if I'm not mistaken, the board has always looked at the footprint as the footprint.
You guys look at bird's eye view down.
Bird's eye view down, and do you understand what we mean by that? And that's for our own continuity and applying these regulations. It's something that we don't control what gets presented in front of us. We regulate as it is presented to us. I appreciate your bringing these items forward. And I hope, at least on one of them, you got or all of them, you've got an explanation of what's there on the ground.
So,
Please.
so then, in that case, the stairs and balconies also count towards the the footage used,
As you can
the
see-
area used.
Right, if you can see on this one where it's in the maroon color, that's the outline of the stairs and the balcony and all that. So that's inclusive.
No, I get it. And so there's never been a variance on that or
As, not on our part, because of what the performance standard is. However, what the applicant had just said is that if there was something in their design that they thought they could address it and meet the regulation, they'd come back for an amendment. They left that caveat as to investigate it. And certainly it doesn't, that's not a promise, but it's been made, they've been made aware of it.
And then the other thing is that the clear lines around here, then, because you say it's bird's eye view, this would include all the eaves. Is that correct?
Generally, it doesn't include roof eaves.
So I'm confused.
The walls.
I'm confused. If it's a bird's eye view, that would include the eaves.
Normally, we don't get architecturals. on a lot of these. And, my goodness, it's the, I'm gonna say that as it's been, historically, it is not the roof eaves because of, you can have a different type of gutter system and such. It's the footprint that hits the ground and the potential, even though it's a balcony, it's been the board's policy to have that included, but not necessarily the roof eaves. If it was a structure that came out 12 feet as a cantilever, that would have an impact. These are our designs. If I'm stepping out here, guys, jump right in. You know, it's how we've viewed things.
So it's an inconsistency built into the rules, is that right?
I don't think it's an inconsistency. I think, you know, the board makes decisions. Are they gonna look at a 1-foot eve around the roof? The roofs are different, is what Tom's trying to say. When I have a cantilever, balcony, and deck like that, yeah, we are gonna look at that like your footprint. I don't think it's an inconsistency. We're just not able to move the house or shift the house to have, so that your view is not as impacted as it is, and therefore you're calling it inconsistency, and I don't think it is so. I'm sorry.
Well, if I
The
could...
board's been very, very clear over terms to look at cantilever-type decks.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that this is, it's not unfortunate, it just is what it is. I hate using that term, unfortunate. We try definitely to be consistent. If there's inconsistencies or anomalies or whatever you want to call it.
I'm not accusing anybody.
No, and I'm not taking it that way. I'm trying to explain it that we truly try to, go ahead.
Tom, I can help. Actually, it's in the state building code and zoning codes that eaves, cornices, and other projections do not count toward zoning setback requirements and lot coverage requirement. Typically, the wall or the foundation of the house does, and that's what it's measured. Or, you know, habitable or useful things like stairs and decks and are counted toward it.
I mean, the house is shifting back closer to the wetland in the back where it is now, so there are concessions being made. And I just tried to center it on the lot the best I could.
Well,
in the area that they have.
I don't want to get into a big argument because I don't want to make life more difficult for people, but the whole house has been twisted 90 degrees. And if the old orientation, which didn't have the same vistas, was preserved, that this wouldn't be as far back. That's just a simple fact. Now, it's also true that the house in the old orientation, if it was raised to 35 feet, would block a wider range at a further distance, which is my concern but not yours. I was just wondering if there's any flexibility. You're saying that we might be able to pursue an amendment at a later stage if you close it?
And I can say that the administrator would recommend against it, just so I keep the board consistent with their regulations. So I'm just going to put that out there, Mr. Farrell, that I couldn't possibly recommend the board that that be allowed. And that's just to keep them very consistent.
If there's anything else that we can not really give you a clear answer on, please let us know.
I believe that the tree in the front yard was a willow, by the way, but that may have been a few years ago.
That would make sense.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, too.
I know that we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comment from the audience about this project? Is there any other comment from the board? I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
It's already gone 6 feet closer in the direction you want. But it used to be.
Next is the continued request for
right.
hearing under
I mean,
notice
it's
of
already
intent.
gone 6 feet in the direction he wants, right? That it-
No, he wants it this way. He wants to move this way. Yeah.
Okay, Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have discussion, take it out in the
This
hall.
is his house, yeah.
And if we're ready for continued request for hearing under notice of intent, the Quaker Road project and the Oyster Pond project have been continued. Next is 57 Gunning Point Road, Falmouth, Mass. for permission to construct and maintain a 3-bedroom, single-family house with attached garage, deck to install, a garage deck to install a Title V sewage disposal system, utilities, drain leaching trenches, driveway, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Thank you, Mike.
Good evening, my name is Michael McGrath. I'm a professional engineer and land surveyor. I work for Mr. McGrath. We presented this plan last week, and pursuant to a vote of the board, we continue the hearing until tonight. We have submitted revised plans. The plans address a couple of issues. I had mapped the top of coastal bank at the still water level, and I believe that, I'm sorry, I should be talking. The bottom line is I agreed to make it the top of the coastal bank to be the same as the velocity zone. So when I did that, we have to move the work limit back, and we ended up making the house smaller. The house is only 24 foot deep. At this end, it was 4 or 5 foot deeper before. The septic system was not changed. At this location, I clarified that the drainage, the driveway is pitched so that there is a small waterway. At the bottom of the waterway, there's a little landscape inlet. There's a leaching structure. It's basically a small diameter concrete leaching structure. I think it's a 2 foot wide, and that was put right at the corner there. The grading there is such that we're moving some stones that are encroaching, and we're placing the stones against the boundary, and we're pitching the surface so that the runoff, that if this drainage system gets exceeded, it will go into the buffer. We're also showing the roof leaders leading to this. So the bottom line is we've also filed with you.
Continue.
Yeah, but we
Just pushing them on.
Yeah, but
He needs to be here.
he needs to be here for the
Yep,
quorum.
he's right there.
Oh, you're gonna prove it? I don't remember. Sorry.
Just
We
the
also
checklist.
So we're
We also filed with the board a plan that is from Wilkinson Ecological Design that basically controls invasives on 10 feet on either side of the existing path. So I believe that with these changes, we have satisfied the various issues that were brought up. I also sent a letter to the Board of Registration asking them to confirm that this is the appropriate way to depict the velocity zone. I tried to get FEMA to respond, but I didn't get. When you go and it says, there's this button says ask the mapping expert. I sent a detailed question and it came back, there's no such website. I think the people that run the Secret Service must run FEMA also.
In short, Mr. McGrath has done as much as he can to address Peter's recommendations and has filed a plan to address Mary's concerns of the regulations. And it was agreed upon last time to use the middle of that center line, so I think it works, and you can close it.
Well, is there any discussion on the board?
About how much money.
I'd just like to say thank you for the plan for the improvement. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
Mike?
Done everything you would, Mike.
Russ?
I'm all set with this.
Thank you.
We have no other need for discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second that?
Okay, and Mary made the motion. I'll second. Is there any discussion or comments from the audience at this point in time on this project? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is to vote some orders of condition. And
Mr. Chairman, just for the last hearing, for the record, Mr. Poloni recused himself. I didn't hear you say that.
you are right, I did not. And I will state it for
We don't have a
the,
record keeper, so.
for the record keeper, John had recused himself
You
for
recused yourself.
57 Gunning Point. Thank you for bringing that up. It's nice to try to give Mary, Susan as much help as she's going to have on the.
Nice job this evening.
Next is to vote orders of condition. Do we have any for this evening?
I know that we can discuss and vote both of them.
Okay.
I know the town is eager to get the Little Pond sewer order. It is closed. For Little Pond, it's all going to be, I mean, the conditions that the staff would recommend are basically based on the conversation that comes out of meeting with the contractors. So we have to obviously have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor. We have to look at the low water, those sites where they know they're going to have dewatering. They're going to have to submit, a solid dewatering plan. The town has said that GHD will be the environmental monitor, so you should probably request just a weekly status report of areas within your jurisdiction on the erosion control. Because staff's major concern is going to be the erosion control when they're doing the trenching and opening up the roads. And also those areas where you have to dewater, which look a lot like the Little Pond, down there Vista on the Little Pond side. I have it. And then we would be concerned on some of the roads that go behind the mall, because there's that wetland there, because they'll have to dewater it there.
Right.
So as far as special conditions, I think it would be better to keep it fairly broad and then have the discussion with the contractor. I know the town is concerned because this will be part of the contractor's bid package, and if we go and put additional conditions afterwards, but I think I can draft it in a way where, it says that we're going to look for a dewatering plan, we're going to look for, monitoring the erosion control. Those are the staff's concerns.
Yeah.
If the board has additional concerns with the construction, please let me know.
I was just going to address how it's presented so that the town and others aren't uncomfortable with what the order says and what happens after the order. And can we just do it by reference to the plan that they submitted?
Correct.
The management plan.
Yep.
And there's that particular section that says that they're in charge and we would like us to be in charge of approving the dewatering measures and those things.
Okay.
The
commission-
In other words, I would just strike they're in charge of that and say that we're in charge of it. Or DPW on our behalf, if you're comfortable with that, but.
Or administratively, in other words, they would. go
Yeah,
sign
and
it.
it just,
I would ask.
in terms of it talks about how they will be developing the plan and they're in charge of that, and they can't have a plan that doesn't have our final approval.
Okay, that's fine. To approve, in charge of approving the watering plan, that's fine.
And also the trench issues.
Yeah. The erosion control.
Yes.
That's basically, because not all areas are gonna need massive
Right.
erosion control. Some areas are, and that is really gonna be where a pre-construction in the office and out in the field with a contractor is gonna be important, where we just walk each
Right.
road. Okay, this road, Harrington Street, I'm gonna have concerns with, this road I'm gonna have concerns with. And I will probably take one or two of you along with me to do that. So.
What about the lift stations? What do we?
The lift stations, I think, I mean, I understand Mark and I don't have any concerns with you approving all 3 lift stations. I think in the interest of getting in there, the trucks that they need to run the lift station, they are right that the mall site is more suited to their needs, where Mark and I were looking at it strictly from a
Wetlands.
a wetland standpoint and an invasive, like the site in front of the radio station is completely eroded. It was just, it was already disturbed.
Right.
Just going and disturb it more.
Right.
We weren't really concerned with that, but I would not recommend choosing one over the other.
Okay. Well, there are other issues besides their preference and our preference, and I think that the main argument for approving both of them is that they're not sure which, if both, they can use.
Right.
Their preference
So-
is the mall, they just.
No, I know
don't have
that.
Security.
I know that. So I'm just wondering if we can provisionally approve them both and just state our preference in there. if
Oh,
you-
absolutely.
Okay.
That's fine. One of the things we need to look at is how that's going to impact that drainage swale, and are they going to look in, if that drainage swale was required, I think McGrath was in the office looking around the other day, are they going to construct a new one somewhere?
Right.
To deal with the drainage coming off the mall. So that definitely has to be addressed. But I would recommend approving all 3 sites, and I have no problem stating the preference.
Okay, good.
Of the staff. It may not be the preference of the board, it's the preference of Mark and I.
That was my preference also.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was, from our purview, it made more sense for us on the radio station, just fit, it was a better fit for us.
It's
Yeah.
a better fit for
us.
us, but I can see
But
their.
It's a safety
their
concern too, public safety
Oh,
concern too.
absolutely,
and
'Cause
I
I'll tell
get
you,
that.
I don't wanna see somebody come around that corner and
No,
take out a
listen,
truck.
and I get
Because
that.
we told them they had to put it,
No, and
Yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying, when I looked at it strictly from,
Right.
that
I know, I know.
standpoint, that's what it is. But I
Yeah.
do understand that there are other concerns,
The line of
public
sight.
safety, line of sight,
So that's why we're gonna,
access.
that's
So
why
that's
we
why
got
I'm
to-
saying, don't choose
Yeah.
one over the other.
let's prove all
Right.
3
I'll
of
approve
them.
all 3 of them.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I get it.
And the preference thing is
I
cool,
know.
I understand that, and I
Yeah,
can
I
understand the
absolutely
reason,
get
but
it.
that corner can be a nightmare.
Oh, that one of Mark and I were out there.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I parked in the bowling,
Yeah.
that little, and I
We
almost
got
got killed.
couple of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is, it's a
People
tough
drive way
spot,
too
so I
fast.
can
I
think I
understand
told
the
them at
preference
least
of being,
10
they
cars
want
to slow
it.
down.
the other site, was the lift
All
station.
homes- No,
Pardon?
the lift station itself is outside the commission's jurisdiction,
Mhm.
but the road leading into it from behind the 7-Eleven,
Yeah,
that comes in, and they clip that 50-foot, but it's a very well vegetated 50-foot buffer. We'll go out and want to see the the erosion control when they install that in that area. The staff doesn't have too much concerns over there.
I think that's gonna be something they're gonna have to fence in though,
Yeah.
particularly with all the kids. and
Oh, yeah,
the
you
path.
wanted the fencing.
You know, just,
You asked them to consider, what did you call it? Protective measures.
yes, something like that,
It was
sure.
something like that.
Yeah, just, it's amazing how much foot traffic that it's generated through there.
I mean, like I said, the language should be just kept broad because we don't know who the contractor is.
Mhm. Right.
But I mean.
And we always have the caveat that if there's a violation, we're in.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
there's,
That's special condition number 3, that you always have the ability to impose additional conditions on a project to protect the interests of the act and the bylaw. That's clearly written in your regulations. I mean, in this case, keep it
Well-
fairly broad, but address where your concerns are, dewatering, erosion control.
Well, the communications between the contractor and
You know, they have
staff is
environmental-
very, very
yeah.
important.
yep. because
Before we
they-
even get to that point, maybe we can, just to keep things.
Because they're gonna have,
Oh, yeah, I plan on having it, I'm gonna write it in the order, we're gonna have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, GHD, Amy, in the office, prior to even going out in the field, just so they understand where we're coming from. And when, I can say that the wastewater department was incredibly good when they were constructing the plant, with communicating with us when there were issues with the construction of the plant in New Solon. So, they communicated with us throughout that whole process.
if we have enough information and language, I'd entertain a motion.
We'll move to approve as discussed.
Second.
We have a motion from Russ and a second from Mike. Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Next is 19 Miami Ave.
19 Miami was a notice of intent that Barbara filed with Maria Hickey to address the violations. It was part of the enforcement order that they needed to file the notice of intent. 19 Miami Ave, like the little stone wall in the back. where they
Okay,
want to put
got
the
it,
vegetable
got it,
garden.
got it. I'm
Yeah.
just,
Just needed a
I'm
little
not a
tracker.
poker, I'm not a poker player. I admit it, when I'm lost, you know it.
And neither am I. So that's that. So they filed a notice to address that. All the plantings have been done. It looks great. There was the tree, Mary, I think that you brought up. Other than that, the order is going to require the monitoring of the vegetation. But it's all installed, you know, maintained in good health and file a monitoring report for the life of the permit.
What are you saying about the tree? My impression was we were gonna let it go because they're
Yes.
hard to place.
Yeah.
It would be hard to plant.
If that's,
I'm just trying to relive the discussion.
Right. Just wanted to be clear.
Yep.
and if things are clear, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the order as discussed.
Second.
Mary's motion, Mike's second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Before we vote, I'd like to take this opportunity just to say something about our community and a response from our hospital. A very short time ago, I had a family member that had to come to our hospital and is doing fine, but the response from EMS and the staff at the hospital, it's something that we often take for granted, and I just wanted to put kudos out to Falmouth Hospital and our EMS specialists and even Cape Cod Ambulance on transferring things. We are very fortunate to have such a valuable asset in our community. It's something that unfortunately I take for granted far too often. And I am very grateful for the outcome and the professionalism, and that's it. Thank you so much. And I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.